Good morning, second hour, Black Bee, whatever you may call yourselves. This is Miss Stalick. As you probably have noticed, I am not in the room. I have a meeting this hour. So today what we're going to do is do kind of a skills work day, which makes it kind of an easy day for you. We're just going to review two skills that you have learned in the past, and I just want you to make sure you practice those so that we can use them to their fullest potential as we work in math this year. The first thing we're going to do is I want to go over two homework problems from last night. So if you could take out your homework from last night and open up your notebook so that you check 3-33. And I actually looked at a lot of your work that was already submitted last night, and you guys did a pretty good job on this, but I wanted to make sure that we understood it because we're going to be using percent rulers a lot in 6th and 7th grade math. So here's the problem that you had. Maribel is taking advantage of the sale at Cassie's Cashew Shop. She wants to figure out how much money she will save on a purchase of $34. Maribel's percent ruler is shown below. Copy the ruler on your paper and help her figure out what 20% of 34 is. Two things I want to point out is that we are calculating the amount of money which is saved. Not how much she'll spend, but how much she saves, which is also known as 20% of 34. So what I noticed is the percent ruler starts at $0 and 0%, which makes total sense. I also know that it is the whole line is divided into 10 equal parts. To prove it, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 equal parts. If 100 is divided by 10, one part is going to be 10%. They already wrote what 2 parts is, which is 20%. 3 parts would be 30%, and so on. Okay, so in order to figure out that 10%, I divided the 100% into 10 equal parts. I divided it by 10 to find out what one part was. We're going to use that same idea for the $34. Okay, the line is still here. It's still divided into 10 equal parts. So if I divide 34 by 10, it will tell me what 10% is, or what one equal part is. Some of you have set it up like this, which is great. There's also a quick trick to solving this that you don't have to actually set it up this way, but we're going to solve it this way. 10 goes into 34 3 equal times. 3 times 10 equals 30. And then I'm going to subtract, and I have 4 left over. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a decimal point right here and right here because that allows me to add as many zeros after the decimal as I might need. So I'm going to bring down the 0. And 10 goes into 40, or how many groups of 10 go into 40? There are 4 groups. So I know, because we're talking money, I'm going to add the hundredths place, that 10% is 340. A quick way to do the same problem when we're dividing by 100 or 1,000, or excuse me, 10, 100 or 1,000, when you're dividing, you look at how many zeros you have, and you're going to move the decimal spot that many places to the left. So the decimal was after the 4, and I'm going to move it 1 spot before because I'm dividing by 10. So that would be the quick way of doing that. So I know that 10% is $3.40. So if I double 10 to get to 20, so I take this times 2, I need to do the same thing for the money amount. And 340 times 2 would be $6.80. So that is your answer for this problem, $6.80. I know a few of you calculated how much she would end up paying, which is 80%, and you calculated this money amount. That isn't a bad answer, but it didn't ask how much she's going to pay. It asked how much she's going to save. Hopefully that helped you with 3-30. We're going to move on to 3-34. All right, so if we look at 3-34, many people came up and said, I don't get this. Well, you have to take time to read it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time reading it. I'm going to read the first paragraph. says, as you have discovered, any fraction can be rewritten in many equivalent ways. When choosing a denominator that will work to add two fractions, there is no single correct choice. Often people find it very convenient to use the smallest whole number that all denominators divide into evenly. This is what we call the lowest common denominator. Sometimes I've heard the phrase least common denominator, so you will also see LCD sometimes. If I look at the work that you did, I was really happy to see that many of you did this problem correctly. You knew that you couldn't just add across. You had to make a common denominator. And most of you recognized that the common denominator, the least common denominator or lowest common denominator was 12. All right, so if we set it up like this, 5/12 already is out of 12, so I don't have to change a thing. I'm going to just rewrite it to the right here. And by the way, for many of you, I said show work. This is how you would show work for this problem. And 1/3, we know we need to get to 12ths. And my giant one would be 4/4. And then we'd have 4/12 over here. So now the addition problem that we have is 5/12 plus 4/12. And we know that if you add 5 plus 4, you get 9/12. I would say the majority of you who had this in last night had this for your answer, which it's a good answer. It's a correct answer. But from this day forth, we want to make sure that we simplify our fraction answers. And I recognize that there's a factor that both 9 and 12 have in common, and that is 3. Both of these numbers can be divided by 3. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. So while many of you had this as your answer, you can make it even better by writing it in simplified form. Okay, so that's one thing that we are going to practice today. We practiced it with a worksheet earlier last week, but we'll continue to work on that. The other thing we're going to practice doing is making sure we know how to find the lowest common denominator. So I'm going to switch pages in just a moment. I'm going to pause this and switch pages. All right, I am back, and I would like you to write in your notes for today, finding the lowest common denominator. And then I have a sample math problem that we're going to work on, and we're actually not even going to complete the whole thing. We're just going to practice finding the lowest common denominator. And I better hurry up because it looks like my battery is running low. So if I look at this, we have a denominator of 10 and a denominator of 15. And I noticed from some of your work last night, looking at it, that some of you know that we could just multiply 10 times 15 to give us a common denominator. And that is going to work every time that if you multiply the two denominators together, it's going to give you a common denominator. The unfortunate thing is that it's, in this case, a very large common denominator. And if we would end up doing this math problem, we would have to spend a lot of time simplifying the answer. And I want to avoid having to do that. So we're going to try to front load some of the work in the beginning here. So one way to find a common denominator is to list your multiples. So if I list the multiples of 10, multiples would be what the product is when you multiply 10, in this case, times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 10 times 1 is 10. 10 times 2 is 20. 10 times 3 is 30. 10 times 4 is 40. 10 times 5 is 50. I'm going to stop right there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to list the multiples of 15. 15 times 1 is 15. 15 times 2 is 30. And I can stop right there because I notice that both of these have 30 in common. So that is going to be how you find the lowest or the least common denominator, by listing the multiples and then lining that up. The one big thing is you have to know your multiplication facts for that. The other strategy, and we kind of touched upon this already, so let's say I have 3/7 plus 1/6. For this, I could list my multiples. So 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, and 42 are my multiples of 7. And if I just think about my multiples of 6, I have 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, and 42. There are no common denominators that are less than if we multiply these two numbers together. Okay, so if I take 6 times 7, these are both factors of 42, right? In this case, your lowest common denominator is what you get if you multiply the two denominators together. So if you list multiples up here and you can't find anything, when in doubt, multiply them together. The unfortunate thing is if we rely on doing that all the time, sometimes you're going to find huge denominators and then you have to do a lot of work of simplifying at the end. I'm going to pause one more time to get a clean page. All right, we're reaching close to the end of this video. I have up here the problem that you had for your homework, which we talked about a little bit. I have 5/12 plus 1/3. Used my giant 1 to create two fractions that have the same denominator. Now I can add them. We talked about how this was the answer, but I can simplify that. How I have to figure out if I can simplify it is to see if there is a common factor for both 9 and 12. And many of you are good at recognizing a few of them, but I'm going to give you a few divisibility tricks. So we know already that if the numbers are even, they're both even, then for sure they can be cut in half, okay? They can be divided by 2. Both of these numbers, actually one of the numbers is even, the one in the bottom, the 12, but the top number is not, so we can't divide them both in half. Another trick to check to see if you can divide by 3, if you add up the numbers, okay? So what I mean by that, we know already, because 9's a single digit number, that it can be divided by 3. If I add up the 1 plus 2, I get 3, right? Is 3 divisible by 3? Yes, it is. So I know that I can divide 12 by 3. To give you just another number, so if I had 375, if I add up those three numbers, 3 plus 7 is 10, 10 plus 5 is 15. And then we ask ourselves, is 15 divisible by 3? Yes, it is. So I know that this whole number is divisible by 3. So that's a trick. You have to add up the digits. If the digits added up together is divisible by 3, that means the whole number is. Add up digits. And there's actually little tricks for each number up to, I found tricks up to 11. There are probably tricks up to even more than that for divisibility. So add up the digits. If it can be divided by 3, the added up digits, the sum of it, then we know that the whole number can be divided by 3. The last, I don't want to say trick because this one's one I think that you know, I guess a reminder, is that if both the numbers end in a 0 or a 5, then I know that it can be divided by 5. So that's kind of another one. If they end in 0 and or 5, it can be divided by 5. So those are some tricks to divisibility when you're trying to decide if you can simplify each of these numbers more. Try a few of these divisibility tests. So your homework for tonight is a worksheet. It can be found on the front table. It is practicing two things, simplifying fractions and finding the lowest common denominator. If you need additional help, please review this video or ask questions during go time. Thank you.